Oh, yes. Springtime in Alaska. I just realized the other day it's been a long time since I posted anything. So, I got a lot of people who always ask me about the Branson. We'll be doing a video on it. It's coming up on 400 hours. Still working good and everything. And everything's thawing out. I got the RMAX. Had it out the other weekend going up to Kodaik Glacier. That was a trip and a half. Ended up recovering a person that passed away in an ATV wreck, sadly enough. And something I'll be doing a bit of a review on here shortly is a new toy to the collection here. 2023 Challenger Scat Pack. I just picked this up a few weeks ago and everything. Just a little over 1,000 miles on it. It's a car I've wanted for a while, and I finally got one. It's got the 6-speed manual in it and everything. But like I said, I'll do a review on that here later. I'm gonna go and do a little bit of a review walk down on a project I've been working on over the winter. I had a couple videos on my one jet boat, the SJX, which is sitting back there. Ended up having some engine problems with it and everything. Had a video I was going to do was a review on the Scott trim nozzle and the Solace Concord impeller I put into it. And one of the last times we had it out, started having some problems. Ended up having to get a ride back and have the thing actually towed back up a river. So something I don't think I've done a video on is, in the meantime, I picked up a North River Trapper. It's a 2005, 19 foot, has a Chevy 350 V8 or a 5.7 liter for our metric folks, and had a two-stage jet drive in it from Marine Power, which is a Hamilton 772 clone. Now, shortly after I got it, I decided it would be a wise decision to run it up onto a sandbar and get it stuck and get a bunch of rocks up into the jet drive and chowdered out the impellers. And they weren't bad, but the thing was cavitating real bad. I ended up finishing off the season running with these in this 1XL main first for the first stage. I think it was a number 4 for the second stage. Anyways, to get back to kind of the topic of the video of what I've been working on here, I reached out to Southern Jet in good old Kanakistan, Canada. Get some new impellers for it. Figuring, well, I'll get me another set and have those ones rebuilt by one of the local shops here. And they started talking to me and everything, going, "You're running a 2-stage with a 350. That might be not enough pump for it." Now, I've definitely seen a lot of V8 boats with 2-stage pumps in them and everything. It's not often, but I want to say it's rare, but not uncommon, if you get my drift. So, talking with those guys and everything, I ended up had them put together a parts list for me and converted it to a 3-stage. That's been all sorts of fun. And I have to give a shout out to Jake and his crew at Southern Jet in Canada. They have been absolutely awesome and everything. There's one guy that has a video out there on doing impeller replacements on a Kodaik 3-stage. I can't remember his YouTube channel off the top of my head and everything, but there's really, most of the time you get on YouTube and everything, looking up jet boats, you're coming up with like either jet sprint boats or the guys run their fiberglass muscle boats and everything with like 455 Olses and everything, and running like Berkeley pumps in them and everything. And this is definitely not a Berkeley pump. It's definitely a whole different critter on how it works and everything. and just some of the challenges I've come across with this and everything doing this install. So the main shaft that runs through it, of course, adding the third stage in, had to put in a longer shaft. In fact, here is the original shaft, and you can see these slots cut out for the keyways. I mean, you're adding a third impeller onto it. It's going to need to be longer somewhere if I can get my finger into the frame here. So it's actually turned into a little bit more of a project than what I was initially expecting and everything, which it is just a thing. I mean, whenever you're doing something like this, you're always going to come across things that weren't figured into your original plan. So the main thing was getting that yoke right there put in. That was all but a press fit to get it on there and everything, and ended up actually having to pull the engine itself out of the boat. Did that last weekend with a friend of mine. Pulled the engine up out of the boat, so we had enough clearance to get to that, because there's not a lot of room in there to do something like that. Took our measurements, put that, if you can see it here, I'm kind of leaning over the boat roll side point, that pinion yoke right there, threw it into a toaster oven, got her nice and warm, put her on there with some anti-seize, and went to town with the air hammer. Got her seated right into place and everything, using Hamilton's 770 specs of where that yoke is supposed to be at. And everything dropped right back into place. Thankfully, once we got it back in, I was thinking we're going to end up having to actually pull the engine back out, get that thing pulled off. I was actually going as far as even to, if you see that right there, that was the beginnings of a puller right there I was going to fab up for pulling that yoke back off. So it's been a fun project. It's been taking a lot longer. I actually ordered all these parts back last fall and everything, and it took Southern Jet a while before they were ramped up on their production to actually put them together. And actually, the majority of the parts they ended up shipping to me directly from their facilities in New Zealand. So the stator had been added in, got 3 new impellers in it. These little, it just kind of stands out to me. And this is something I didn't bring up with Jake at Southern Jet and everything, but at least for my pump, for these castings and everything, these Hamilton 770 knockoffs between, say, Marine Power, Kodaik, Flow Pro. I don't know how many companies make them and everything, but these were just about a 1/4 inch too short and everything for the ones that he sent me. These are actually water pipes that direct water through the cooling system and everything from the jet drive. So I ended up just getting some washers and some big old neoprene washers that fit right on there, just at my local Ace Hardware, shimmed everything up. I think it's going to work great. I'm really super excited to get this thing out there on the water. Actually, everything's went together real easily. Had a few little hiccups. I had the first impeller in there when I installed it and everything. It was actually hanging up on the casting of the jet drive itself on the inside. Sorry, I don't have a picture right now of that impeller, but it was a higher skew impeller than what was originally in it and sticking out, and it just was starting to grab onto the housing up on the top side and everything. So just took a flap wheel on the die grinder and clearanced it out, pulled the coil wire off the coil on the ignition and put power to it, made sure everything was spinning over. It had I was originally going, this is the actual stator assembly here that I got from Southern Jet. I actually wanted to have it in this position right here because the stator vanes in it are steel instead of your typical cast aluminum. And I was wanting to have it up on the front here for being the first one to take any brunt of any rocks that might get sucked through it and everything. But the impeller clearances and everything, the impeller for the third stage, when I had it in this stage right here, it was almost a press fit getting in there. But when I swapped them around and everything, it cleared the wear ring and this one a lot better. So we put that one in the back, put that one in the front, again with the coil wire pulled off and everything, so the thing the engine wouldn't fire. Cranked it over. She cranks over. She's ready, damn near ready to go in the water right now. Working on one other thing, getting the steering sorted out. Yeah, let me jump up in here. So this is a stock original steering cable, control cable from that was installed in it, and the original mounting point on this piece right here. This is this steering rod assembly and everything. It had to be a longer one for the third stage. The original one, the mounting hole is all the way down here, and this thing is super long and everything. And if you ever tried to play with a control cable like this, of this thickness and everything, they're pretty rigid. And I got one of two options, and I'm going to go for the second option. The first option was to try to actually physically move this cable to where it would actually line up. But I'm going for option number two. I got the original bracket that was in here. This hole right here lines up with one of the holes on the bracket on this pivot point down here. So I'm going to bolt them together and drill a hole down in this one where the original mounting position was for the cable and everything, and go at it from there. And then get the doghouse put back on. That's aluminum, but it's heavy as shit. Yeah, and over the winter too, I'm gonna say something here. If you're running any sort of a V8 like this in your boats and everything, make sure you pay attention to your cap and rotor and everything. I started going through this thing, and it's a 20-year-old boat, or almost, 2005. I changed the oil over the winter and everything and did maintenance. I pulled off the cap here, and it was the original cap from 2005. And the thing always ran really well. I'm amazed after I pulled the distributor cap off that it even ran at all. All the little points inside of it, they look like little fuzzy mushrooms. They had so much corrosion and everything on them. So did cap, rotor, plug wires, new plugs. In fact, the plugs that were in it were like the AC Delco plugs from 2005. And when I ran to my local O'Reilly's, the guy ran the number and said, "Dad, those plugs are discontinued." It's like, wow, how can you have a boat like this? I mean, we're at 327 hours, so I mean, it's not a lot of hours on it, but it is a 20-year-old piece of equipment and everything. And the plug's never been changed. Oh, and then somebody might yell at me for this, but I did put a new coil on it, and this is an automotive style coil. It is not the marine one. So we'll see how that works out and everything. Hopefully we don't get a spark under the doghouse and an explosion or anything, but I doubt it. And she was, when I had the wire pulled off of here, this coil wire pulled off here just to crank the motor over and make sure that it's still wood with the tight tolerances on the impeller. Even with electrical tape over that and everything, she was sending out sparks and everything pretty hot. So I think she's going to be running even better than what she was. So that's what I've been working on. I really want to give a shout out to Jake and his crew with Southern Jet in Canada. Jesus. If you're in need any sort of jet boat pump parts for Hamilton 773 or 770 series at all, And they have their own proprietary pumps and everything they built and everything. Look them up, Google them at southernjet.ca. I do a lot of work with vendors at work and everything, as I've been in materials and logistics for a long time now. And his service, his responses to emails and everything have just absolutely blown my mind on customer service. I really can't say enough good things about them themselves, and their products have been just absolutely top notch and everything. I mean, it's really good quality stuff. So I definitely want to give a shout out to them and everything. Hopefully next day or 3 I'll be able to get this thing out in the water, do a shakedown cruise on it, and give you guys an update. Till then, get ready for summer. It's on the way, if it's not already here where you're at. Thanks.